Father John here with Father Kevin and Deacon Dan. So we're trying something new today. I'll call it our Catholic Conversation, because we heard from some of you out there that you would like us to have an opportunity to speak with one another and with you. So this is an open conversation in which those of you who are following us on Facebook, if you'd like to send in a question or a comment, we'll try to respond to that. We also thought it would be helpful for us to be able to just speak with each other, kind of create an environment in which we feel like we're at home together. I want to thank the people out there who helped us to set this up and their suggestions that come with us. Just like to start off with a few things that I would like to say, because there's that saying, there's no cloud without a silver lining, and the silver lining maybe through this experience has been the way in which people have reached out to each other and have kept other people in their thoughts and in their prayers. So that, for instance, our social outreach, St. Vincent de Paul communities have been very active, reaching out to people who really are dependent upon us for food. So those programs continue to exist because of those people, our volunteers, wonderful volunteers who, following the rules, keeping the social distance, make sure that we're not forgetting those who really suffer in a particular way. Also want to say that it's been inspiring in our school community at St. John's with the sudden loss of our wonderful principal, Maureen Kelleher, that you have been supporting each other. So we really want to encourage our families that are out there, especially the school families, to keep supporting and strengthening each other. Speaking of generosity, by the way, thank you. A number of people are sending in your contributions. A number of you who are giving online. This past week, for instance, I got a check for $500 from one of our parishioners. Father John, if this can help, this morning I got a phone call from another parishioner saying this person wants to contribute something for those who are in need to support our outreach program. So let's keep an eye open for the wonderful ways in which God's grace is very much at work as we try to support and encourage each other. So thank you for being a part of that, for continuing to support us, and for supporting one another. So again, this is an open conversation, so Father Kevin or Deacon Dan, if you want to pipe in and something that may be on your mind. And again, out there, you're welcome to offer a comment in English or Portuguese. I'll let these folks respond to the Portuguese. But we're all thinking of you and wanting to keep in touch with you any way we can. So, any thoughts?
Yeah, of course I have thoughts. Well, so in my 5 years as a teacher, one thing I've learned is that if one student has a question, usually there's more than one person in the room who has that same question, and only one of them was, brave enough to raise their hand and ask it. So last week I got several texts from people asking about Mass, because Cardinal Sean, as you know, lifted the obligation to attend Sunday Mass, and people were wondering, what does that mean? What do I do on Sunday now? Well, the Cardinal can lift the obligation to attend Sunday Mass, but the Cardinal cannot lift the third commandment, to keep holy the Lord's Day. So we as Catholics are still obliged to follow the Lord's Day, to keep holy Sunday. So typically for us as Catholics, that means going to Mass. So how do I keep Sunday holy on a day where I'm not allowed to go to Mass? Well, thankfully, you're in a parish, if you're at St. John's and St. Thomas, that does live stream our Masses. Last week I got a text from a friend of mine down in Georgia, husband and wife and 4 kids. They all dressed up as if they were going to church, and they went down to the dad's office where they live streamed Mass from their parish, keeping that regular routine going of dressing up, going to watch their live stream, putting on their Sunday best. But then after Mass, they prayed the Rosary together. Things that we can do on Sunday to set Sunday apart as the holy day, as the day where Jesus, every Sunday, we recall his triumphant victory over sin and death. So every Sunday, we can set it apart, even if we're not able to participate publicly at Mass at this time, we can still do things, praying the rosary, reading scripture. Several of the young adults in our community and myself are participating in an online faith formation program every Sunday night. So we'll be doing that tomorrow night. We have formed.org. If you look at our parish website, you can learn more about Formed. Set that aside as a family day to watch maybe a faith enrichment series and then talk about it as a family. Dawn is working very hard for our confirmation students. She put it together a virtual program for them that they are still able to receive their confirmation retreat. This actually would be the weekend we're on our confirmation retreat. So we're praying for all of our sophomores this weekend that they might watch either Cardinal Sean's retreat or do this virtual formation that Don put together and talk about it with their families. Send in their questions via email or Instagram or Facebook to Father John and myself, and really keep enrichment going. So that's how we can continue to keep holy the Lord's Day, even when we aren't obliged to go to Mass.
One of my priest friends shared something really interesting with me. He showed me a picture of a family that he knows in his parish. And so they set up like a table looking like an altar. They have their screen behind it where they're watching Mass. So they were like sitting as if they were at Mass. And one of the kids is an altar server, so he like dressed up like an altar server. So the point is, there are many ways that we can continue to honor the Lord on his day. So we hope that you'll be creative. This is a moment of a lot of creativity. It's a lot of learning that's going on. You can probably tell from me, maybe from others, that we're still trying to figure out how to do this. So we thank you for your patience, because sometimes we're working out the logistics and all of that. But again, we have some wonderful folks out there who are helping us to bring this out. So, Deacon Dan, what are you thinking?
Maybe the best way to keep holy the Lord's Day on Sunday, if you're not able to tune into one of the Masses, is to pray the Rosary. On St. Patrick's Day, right at the beginning of the Mass at the Cathedral, Cardinal Sean invited everyone that if they cannot go to Mass, to pray the Rosary. The Rosary is a tried and true devotion of Catholic devotional life. It's centuries old. And to gather around on Sunday as a family any time of the day and to pray together the sorrowful mysteries is a very wonderful thing to do. After the Mass, saints have said all through the ages that the Rosary is the best prayer to go to in all needs and in all occasions. So dust off the Rosary beads. I know I carry mine in my pocket. And pray it together as a family. Pray it by yourself. Pray it not only on Sunday, but pray it every day. Because as Mary prays for the church, and her prayers are the most powerful in heaven, we unite our prayers with hers. And God is very pleased when he hears our prayers rising up through those of his mother. So the Rosary is our weapon. It's our light.
The other thing we want you to know is that we are keeping our churches open as often as we can. So here at St. Thomas, our church is open every day from 9 until noon. The reason we chose those hours is that's when there's somebody here to make sure that the church is safe. At St. John's, we're able to keep it open a little bit longer, so we open it in the morning until about 6 in the evening. So if you're inclined and want to come to church, that's a way that you can honor the Lord. We do have our signs outside reminding you that when you come, to sit at a distance from others. We're also continuing to offer the Sacrament of Reconciliation. So we do that. We're following the guidelines of the Archdiocese and offering that on Wednesdays. As you know, many years ago, The Light is On for You was a program to give us more opportunities for this sacrament. So many churches on Wednesday from 6:30 to 8. So we're doing that over at St. John's. And so Father Paul and I are there from 6:30 to 8. We do have a little distance that we've created to be safe. And then here at St. Thomas, Father Kevin can tell you a little bit about how we do confessions here on Mondays.
Yep, so typically the Brazilian community has a charismatic prayer renewal on Monday nights. Of course, that's been suspended for now, but I'm still coming and hearing confessions in the sacristy from 6:30 until about 8 p.m., English or Portuguese. And during that time, when we would have prayer group, we are live streaming our Brazilian prayer group. Para os que não sabem, nossa comunidade brasileira tem segunda-feira o grupo carismático. Normalmente eu atendo as confissões na sacristia. Vou atender ainda às 6:30 até às 8 da noite. Mentre eu atendo as confissões, Renildo vai fazer o live stream no Facebook aqui da capela para o nosso grupo carismático para participar em casa. Do we have a question?
We do have some questions.
Nice.
If we participated in the prayer from the Pope yesterday in the plenary indulgence, is that equal to going to confession?
No, it's different. It's a very special blessing. We were watching it and actually participating yesterday. So it is a blessing by which God offers us this opportunity to receive the gift of His mercy, a plenary indulgence that takes away all the temporal punishment due to sin. At this particular time, the Holy Father wants us, to be opening up our hearts to His love and mercy. Many people aren't able to receive the sacrament of reconciliation. So at this time, this is a blessing that encourages us to do that. Maybe Father Kevin might want to comment on that too. In Portuguese, the meaning of the plenary indulgence.
Precisa marcar a confissão?
Não precisa marcar uma confissão. Eu vou estar aí das 6:30 até as 8 com a regra de respeitar 2 metros, 6 feet na distância. Eu vou ter uma tela lá na sacristia. The question for those who don't speak Portuguese was, do you have to mark a time for confession? Do you have to reserve a time for me? Nope. 6:30 to 8. The church will be open. I'm here, but just like at St. John's, there's the social distancing. There'll be a screen up in the sacristy so that we both keep our distance and keep each other safe.
One question, we have been getting requests for prayers, so please continue to send those. Just this morning, one of our families at St. John's has an adult son who was admitted to the hospital with pneumonia. And so they're obviously very concerned. They're doing testing for the COVID-19, so we're keeping him in prayer. But please, during this time when we are needing to support each other, know that you can ask for prayers. We pray every day at Mass for many intentions. We know that the Mass has infinite value, so it's not restricted. The Mass is never celebrated just for one person. So we may occasionally name a particular individual as an intention, but if you have intentions, let us know. Every day we're offering the Eucharist, and we're making that moment available to you. So if you have particular prayer intentions, let us know. That's how we keep in touch with you.
So from Bobby Burke, he said, "Good morning, Father John, Deacon Dan, and Father Kevin. Yesterday, Pope Francis gave an Orbi et Orbi blessing to the faithful in the world. I was wondering, what was that blessing? I'd never heard of it before. And on that same note, would that plenary indulgence help us to avoid temporal punishment of going to purgatory? And so, can we go straight to heaven?" So those two things.
So those are awesome questions, and they're not as black and white as they seem. So the Orbi et Orbi blessing means to the city and to the world. It's a traditional blessing that popes have been giving over the centuries, typically on Christmas Day, on Easter Day, and on the day that the Holy Father is elected, when he first comes out onto that balcony, that loggia. So you remember March 13th of several years ago, 2013, when Pope Francis was elected and he came out onto that balcony, he gave that blessing to the city and to the world. And so the Pope's blessing, that Orbi et Orbi blessing, comes with the plenary indulgence, which in layman's terms, when we say it remits all temporal punishment, let's say, I don't know the mind of God, but let's say right now I have incurred 100 years of purgatory for my sins. This remittance of temporal punishment means those 100 years are wiped away. Now, typically there are 4 conditions that one must meet. You must receive Holy Communion and go to sacramental confession within a week of receiving the blessing forward or backward. The third is to pray for the intentions of the Holy Father. Typically, you pray an Our Father, a Hail Mary, a Glory Be, something just saying for the health, well-being, and intentions of Pope Francis. And the fourth is detachment from all attraction to sin, even venial sin, which is the kicker, because our human nature, we're fallen. We like to sin, but we don't like the effects of sin. We don't like the guilt that it brings us, but we like the pleasure of sinning. And so it's not as black and white as it seems, because unless I die right after receiving the plenary indulgence, more likely than not I'm going to sin again, venially, hopefully not mortally, and re-incur those years or that time in purgatory. But at the end of the day, we always leave our lives into the mercy of God, into his hands, trusting in his merciful fatherly love, but also in his justice, that he will welcome me, but also purify me if I need to be purified, if that makes sense.
I think this blessing is also a sign that our Holy Father wants us to know, that God is pouring out his grace. We're so aware, of the power of sin, of the power of evil, the power of this virus, if you will, that we need a counterpoint to that. And it was very beautiful to watch him there, almost alone in this square that's normally filled with thousands, tens of thousands of people. Just a moment of watching a man, who is our spiritual father leading us in prayer. I was really moved at that. But I think the message to the world is, we need to be together in prayer, but we need to know that God is blessing us. One of the great gifts that God gives to us, as priests, is to be able to bless people. People all the time coming up, Father John, would you bless this? Would you give me a blessing? I'm going on a trip. So the Holy Father is saying that to all of the human family. God is saying, my blessing will be there. Do not be afraid. That message that we've been hearing in the Holy Father, quoting the words of Jesus, do not be afraid, I am with you. So that's what we need to really hear in our hearts, that God will give us the strength and blessing to deal with what's happening.
From South Carolina, Father Michael Aiello. I know that we are praying for you and ask that you pray for us. Let us journey through the storm together. Remember, we can't outrun the storms. We have to just let them pass.
Amen.
Amen.
And on a lighter note, the Rakowskis would like to know if you
Yes.
enjoyed your cheese pizza last night. And they would like to know who cut your hair, Father Kevin.
I did it myself. My barber and I have not. We've been practicing social distancing.
And the pizza was wonderful. We enjoyed that. We thank all of those of you out there who are thinking of us this way. We also have some good news, by the way. We have a new seminarian coming to join us today. So we'll be sharing that word with you because we're sort of sheltering the homeless, if you will. So St. John's Seminary, like all other educational institutions, have had to close their doors. So they're looking for homes for seminarians. So we are going to be a home for a seminarian. Jeremy Wagner is his name. He's coming. He's going to join us today at noontime. We have a couple of other seminarians coming all the way from Rome. Needless to say, this is not a good time to be in Italy. So Cardinal Sean has called them to home. They're in quarantine right now, so that's making us feel a little safer, that when they come to us, they hopefully won't be bearing any virus. But it's making our house feel a little bit more full. We figure we're just about at capacity right now. So any of you who want to come, I'm sorry. There's no room at the inn because we're pretty full.
You can sleep in the stable.
Exactly. But thank you for thinking of us and taking care of us.
Jose would like to know, how is the upper church coming and will it be complete by Easter?
Okay. Well, I make my little pilgrimage over there every day to see what's happening. The work is continuing slowly, needless to say, because of what's happening. The work is slowing down, but it's looking beautiful. The murals have been restored, and the walls, the sanctuary have. St. Joseph is back, and he's in his little altar. The Blessed Virgin Mary is back, but we haven't put her in place yet. We're keeping her safe. And the new marble floor is really looking splendid. It's really beautiful. So hopefully as we progress and we're able to do the work, right now the unfortunate thing is we don't know exactly when our churches are going to be open, but we do want you to know, we were talking about this morning, that we are going to continue to celebrate the liturgy, certainly on Sundays, but for Holy Week, we're looking at the Sacred Triduum, which normally we celebrate with many people, but we'll be doing that in a more restricted way, but we'll be offering that. We'll give you some more information on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the Easter Vigil. So we do look forward to being able to celebrate those. There are certain limits and restrictions. We won't be able to do the washing of the feet. Here's a question you might be asking a week from tomorrow is Palm Sunday. Father John, are we going to be able to receive palms? Well, unfortunately, again, another restriction, we won't be able to do that. However, the good news is we have palms. We have lots and lots of palms. So we are going to bless them, and then when the time is appropriate, you'll be able to come to church and you'll be able to take them home. So maybe in Portuguese you want to explain that.
Just one more thing to add to that. So I don't use Facebook. I know that seems weird for my age, but I do use Instagram. So my Instagram, RevKev615, I've been posting pictures of St. John's Upper Church throughout the progression of the renovation. So maybe what I can do is send those pictures to our Facebook administrator and have her post some of the updates for those who would like to see them. And now, what Father John just said em português, a pergunta era sobre o tríduo que vamos fazer. Ainda não sabemos quando as igrejas vão estar abertas de novo, mas estamos planejando como vamos celebrar os 3 dias mais sagrados do nosso ano. Quinta-feira Santa, Sexta-feira Santa é a Vigília de Páscoa e também dia de Páscoa. Nós sabemos, vamos compartilhar com vocês quando sabemos, mas agora o plano é de fazer live stream das igrejas, não somente na capela, mas na igreja. A pergunta sobre os ramos, domingo que vem é domingo dos ramos. Infelizmente, estamos proibidos de distribuir os ramos, mas temos muitos ramos. Então, esperamos que após de tudo isso, essa crise que estamos vivendo, podemos abençoar no dia dos ramos e distribuir, nós sabemos quando, maio, junho, julho, para as pessoas colocar em casa diante da crucifixo em qual lugar na casa. Temos uma outra pergunta em português?
Sim, o senhor falou sobre os 4 pilares para se fazer bem e receber as indulgências. Então, foi falado em inglês. Está pedindo que o senhor explique em português.
Sim. Para a indulgência plenária que deu ontem o Papa, I'm just re-explaining now for the English community. I'm re-explaining in Portuguese the plenary indulgence. So if you heard that already, you can tune out for a few seconds. Então, normalmente são 4 pilares que os fiéis têm que cumprir para receber a indulgência plenária. Primeira é de receber o Santíssimo, normalmente 7 dias antes ou após de receber a indulgência. Segunda é de fazer uma confissão sacramental. Terceira é de rezar pelo Papa, pelas suas intenções, para a sua saúde. Quarto é mais complicado, e de afastar-se de todo pecado mortal, grave e também menos grave, venial. Isso é mais complicado para nós, porque somos humanos. Na nossa fraqueza humana, vamos pecar. Ontem, o Papa suspendeu 2 pilares de receber o Santíssimo e de receber a confissão sacramental. Mas o Papa falou que quando podemos confessar de novo, devemos confessar de novo. Quando podemos receber de novo, devemos receber de novo. Mas para receber agora, neste momento, esses dois pilares estão suspensos. Tá bom?
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. It's been great to have the opportunity to speak to you, to listen to you. So keep those little conversations going. Let us know what's happening. If you have questions for us, we'll try to respond to those in the future. Meanwhile, let's keep each other in prayer. Remember tomorrow, Sunday, the Lord's Day, we invite you to be with us in our virtual celebration of the Eucharist at 10 o'clock in English and then 11:30 in Portuguese. Father Kevin, if you want to sign off and wish our Portuguese-speaking community well.
É bom estar com vocês virtualmente. Também nós vos agradecemos. Sabemos que vocês estão nos agradecendo, mas nós também queremos agradecer a todos vocês para participar. Amanhã, domingo, dia do Senhor, vamos participar virtualmente na nossa missa em inglês às 10 da manhã, em português aqui na Capela da St. Thomas às 11:30 da manhã. Vamos orar um por outro nestes dias. Se vocês têm perguntas, dúvidas, comentários, qualquer seja, podem mandar um e-mail para eu, para Leila, para Padre John. Podem postar no Face as suas perguntas, dúvidas, comentários. Neste tempo vamos rezar pela intercessão de nossa mãe, socorro dos doentes, para ela poder trazer nossas orações a seu Filho, nosso Senhor Jesus.
So have a great day, keep in touch, and God bless you. Deus te abençoe.